of rubber we could on the tire.
Now we get down to the final laps, and it's a reverse of the situation you were in at the Indianapolis 500. Any thoughts or anything you've said to little Al?
Well, I mean, he's been in racing a long time. I mean, the smart thing to do is just let's not stick either of them in the fence. We got a long championship ahead of us here, and we're just out there to collect points,
Paul?
Well, Richard Buck will watch his driver, Al Unser Jr. There's Johnny Rutherford, the PPG pace car. As we're getting reports of some sprinkles in the area, but not yet on the track.
You can bet that little Al is not thinking the same way that Richard Buck is.
Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, Tony Bentonhausen stands here at pit entrance, and you had a problem earlier that affected your radiator and the temperatures, and that may have led to that motor going away, I understand.
Yes, Alumax aluminum Penske all day long. The temperature after about 60 laps was creeping up on us, and we tried to richen the fuel mixture to try to cool it down, and we started watching oil pressure go away, but didn't catch it quite in time. But, Detroit next weekend.
Thank you, Tony. Paul?
Well, we should be less than a lap to green as they come off of the second turn. There are some scattered reports of light moisture. Everybody's afraid to say rain or showers. Well, it's because it isn't that yet. The drivers will have the best point of view. The onboard cameras, in fact, will show you if they get some moisture on the track itself. And as we come back, we will be completing the 178th lap.
Now you know that Emil's going to have to push really hard now, because with the impending possible rain, he's going to have to, if he has a chance of getting little Al, he has to do it just in case it does rain, Paul.
Emerson Fittipaldi chases Al Unser Jr. It is a battle for the lead in the Miller Genuine Draft 200.
Deja vu. It was just like this a week ago at Indianapolis. These are the two men that are really making the season. They stand 1-2 in the championship, and they're 1-2 in this race right now.
Same contestants, different engines. Back to the Elmore D engine for these two cars.
You can watch little Al when he started the race. He ran a groove that would be more or less what he thought was in front of Emil to disturb the air, so it'd make it a little bit harder on Emil. Then after he gets a little bit of distance like this, he goes back to what feels good to him, or his normal groove.
And they indicate that the yellow flag comes out. There it is, and that is for rain. So on the 180th lap, there you got a good idea of moisture building up on the camera on Michael Andretti's car. So we are under yellow now, the third time of the day, and this time it is because a light shower has moved into the Milwaukee area here at the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds. We'll be back. We're under yellow. There are 17 laps to go in the race. Light shower in the area, not enough to really dampen the track surface heavily, and there is the possibility that we could go back to green flag racing. On the other hand, there is the possibility that within the same week, Al Unser Jr. will win his second race under the yellow flag. So Al Unser Jr. is in front, Emerson Fittipaldi just behind him. We watch this race in this season. The name Mario Andretti and racing have been synonymous for the past 3 decades. Our Sam Posey had a chance to talk to him about his illustrious career.
For 30 years, his name has stood for speed. He is a racer to the core, passionate, fierce, romantic, and realistic.
On the overall, I've been very lucky. I think you could, as I say, here again, you could go back. Yeah, I wish I would have had a little more luck here or there. But what is luck? I mean, sometimes luck is being able to be around for a long period of time. I have so much to be thankful for, and really, that's the way I'm looking at the big picture of my entire career. The proudest moments in my career have been the times when I've been on the podium with my son, or when I've won weekend on a weekend where my other son, either Michael or Jeff, had won their own event, supporting event. Victories are victories, they're wonderful, but those are really probably the most precious trophies I have on my mantle. There have been times when, yes, I should feel defeated, if my son, my offspring, all of a sudden is going by me And the first reaction was that because, you know, you're a competitor and all that sort of thing. Then, you know, the second reaction was, well, attaboy. You know, something really good. I knew retirement had to be somewhere. To be able to pick just the right time, I don't think is ever easy. Did I pick the right time? I'm not sure. At this point, I just don't want to push it. I just like to be able to walk away while I'm still a factor, still competitive, because I only derive satisfaction out of that. So for me, just to ride and ride just for sake of riding, no way. That day is going to come when, yes, perhaps I'm sure that I'm going to wish that I would still be going to the racetrack to be fitted up in the cockpit and you know, be ready to drive that day. But again, I'm just trying so hard to be realistic that and realizing that those things just will not last forever.
So many emotions from one of the greats of all time in this sport, Mario Andretti. And Paul Newman, you've been instrumental in Mario's career in recent years, and I know there's disappointment today because that Penske team has made it like you're running for first in class. But reflect for a moment about what Mario Andretti has meant not only to you and your team, but to the world of motorsports.
Oh, nothing. It's just a privilege to be connected with him. He's, I don't know, he certainly was snake bit at Indianapolis, and I guess he's got valve problems here, but there aren't many like Mario in racing, and the same thing is true in films. So he's the Duke Wayne of the racing circuit.
It's a great analogy. We've talked with Mario about his emotions in the final time at all of these tracks. Is it difficult for you with emotions when it comes to Mario, as you know he's making this tour and you're making it with him?
Yeah, it is. He's raced here since this is his 36th start.
Wow.
It's going to be difficult for him too, I suspect.
Well, we appreciate a few comments, and of course we pay tribute to one of the greats, Mario Andretti. Paul?
Of course, Mario, I think, was the emotional favorite going into the Indy 500 last week. Everyone was pulling for him. He was doing beautifully. He actually ran as high as third. He was fourth when he broke down on just lap 23 with another one of those little $5 parts. And it was really sad to see him go out that way. But in some ways, of course, it was typical. That was the story of Mario at Indy.
Well, the racing champion's fire still burns in his heart as he makes his Arrivederci tour. And the fans are all surrounding him at every race, saying, Mario, we wish you would stay. We'll be back.
Sprint cars, NASCAR, Indy cars, through the years, I've driven them all.
Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
One thing I've learned, no matter what you drive, you've got to take care of it. Haviland is the one.
No other leading motor oil offers more complete protection to help your car run better, last longer, even if you haven't been driving as long as Mario.
There's an old Italian saying, when you're cooking, you've got to use the right oil.
Haviland Formula 3. Why add just any motor oil? Add more life to your car.
The black tire marks in the pits, indications of action earlier, but now we continue slow with just 10 laps to go in this run here, but we are still under yellow. Al Unser Jr. is the leader of the race. The IndyCar safety team trucks are both out constantly checking the track. With Roger Penske, you talk about winning. Bobby Unser scored 11 wins and won at Indianapolis. Big Al, 3 wins, won at Indy, and Al Unser Jr. just this year, 2 wins, including Indy. Is that an Unser graphic, or is that one for Penske, Bobby?
Well, that's one for Penske, and I wish I could start all over again. The other guys are catching up.
Let's go pit side, Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, never ceases to amaze me about the organization of Team Penske. No sooner did it begin to rain than Chuck Sprague sent out the word on the radio, break out the umbrellas. But Chuck, more importantly, got to have kind of mixed emotions right now with the rain. One car out in front, but you're calling the shots for Emerson Fittipaldi, and he's chomping at the bit.
Yeah, he's out there rationalizing. He said, well, you know, the tires, they are slick, but there's no rooster tail yet. Yeah, just for the sake of safety, we don't want to take any chances. I mean, the way it's going down now.
I think we're going to get the answer right now. Let's go back trackside.
Well, they're getting ready at the starter stand. Jim Swintel with a red flag and a checkered flag. The twin checkered flags are going to be displayed to Al Unser Jr., the way he won the Indianapolis 500 a week ago. And here it is today. They've decided they could not get the track to dry conditions within the remaining 8 laps. And so Al Unser Jr. has won 3 in a row. Last time anybody won 3 in a row was Michael Andretti in 1991 when he won Vancouver, Mid-Ohio, and then Elkhart. But Team Penske has done it once again. And for Team Penske, it's 4 in a row.
And
Phoenix,
a 1, 2, 3
Long Beach,
finish.
Indianapolis, and here. And look at this, Sam.
Line abreast, finishing 1, 2, 3. We have not seen this for many, many years. It's an incredible, historic moment. Look at that.
They need to stick their chest out now because, like you said, Sam, you don't see that very often. That Penske has to be about the proudest guy that I could ever imagine.
So with the Penske cars finishing first, second, and third, 3 abreast, leading the rest of the field around, we'll be back to talk with the winner, Al Unser Jr., right after this. Well, Al Unser Jr. is singing in the rain as he takes the win in the Miller Genuine Draft 200. Here's Jack Arute.
And Paul doing backup as Emerson Fittipaldi, who finished second, and Paul Tracy. They've joined us all in victory lane. First of all, Al, congratulations, a 3-peat. Now you've got 3 in a row.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank my guys. You know, this team with Paul and Emerson and all the guys, all the engineers, Roger giving us the best cars, Nigel Bennett designing them. I tell you, this is one heck of a treat to drive for this race team.
Emerson Fittipaldi, I know you've got to have mixed emotions when the rain came, but have you ever been part of a 3-car tandem across the start-finish line for a checkered flag before?
I mean, that's fantastic. Our Junior did, again, a great job. I'm very pleased. And all the Marlboro Team Penske crew, we had a fantastic work. I mean, 1, 2, 3, what else we need? And then I'm looking for Indy next year again.
And how about you, Paul Tracy? So many tough times in the early going. Now after Indianapolis, you come back for a solid 3rd-place finish.
I'm pretty happy. It's great to see everybody's up, and got a great finish, 1, 2, 3 with the Marlboro crew, and just wish my car had handled better, but Al and Emerson put on a good show, and I was just sitting back waiting for the checker to come out.
Tell you what, Paul Page, I've covered a lot of races, but I've never seen anything like this. Now, Al, let me ask you one question, though. On one of the restarts, it looked as if you were trying to hold Emerson back just a little bit. Were you playing some games with your teammate, or did maybe Uncle Bobby tell you a little something about the Milwaukee Mile?
Well, I tell you, you know, Dad and Uncle Bobby had told me a lot about this place, and, you know, we were just trying to get the jump on him, and I really didn't think there was going to be another yellow. And so, you know, we jumped and we got on it early, and then I had to do it all over again, and he was more ready for it then.
So many people were worried that you would get teamed up with Penske in your career. What do you think the limit is for Al Unser Jr.?
Well, I don't know. You know, we're just looking for the #1 on the Marlboro car, and, you know, we're just trying to get that done.
Gary?
Well, with Michael Andretti, Michael, how frustrating is it to basically be running for first in class when you watch those Penske tires in the day they had today?
It was tough watching them go by us on the outside. It seemed like every other lap there was a red and white car going by us. But, you know, my hat's off to them. They just did a great job. They seemed to work together well, get all the setups together, and, you know, they did a good job.
Well, we appreciate your efforts. We'll see you in Detroit next week as we go back up to Paul for final standings.
And, of course, we'll have coverage of the run at Detroit here on ABC Sports. Here are the unofficial results with the Penske team at the top of the order. Al Unser Jr. led 156 of 191 laps. They cut it short by 9 miles. And what does that all do to the point standings? Well, we'll take a look at the PPG points in a race that only saw Stefan Johansson fall out. Al Unser Jr. has a very strong lead in PPG points now, but then once again, it's still very early in the season as the Penske cars finish 1, 2, and 3 on the Milwaukee Mile and the Miller Genuine Draft 200. I'm Paul Page for Bobby Unser, Sam Posey, Jack Arute, and Gary Gerald. We'll see you next week in Detroit. So long for now.